And it took about 3 weeks. I tapped every day for about an hour, even
Oh,
though I didn't have
wow.
a clue. Oh, yeah, I was determined I was gonna fix my sleep. Well, I was having 7 to 8 panic attacks a day when I stopped working.
Oh, okay.
And within 3 weeks, no panic attacks. And I woke up on the couch one day, from a nap, and it was my first time in 2 years that I fell asleep without a sleeping pill.
You're listening to Connect and Create a Life You Love with Sharla Goodwin. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. And I am so excited because today I have a guest with me, Carol Richard. Carol is a sleep coach, an emotional success coach, and an advanced conscious EFT practitioner. I can't wait to explore all this with her, and she's going to explain what it actually is. I don't know if you've heard about it before or not, but it's super fascinating. So, she is also the creator of Reclaim Your Sleep, Reclaim Your Life program.
Mm.
And she believes that everyone deserves good sleep and is on a mission to help as many people as she can reclaim their sleep so they can live a life they desire.
Mm.
Yes, I love it. And I'm someone who needs a lot of sleep. I need my sleep. Some people can function
Yeah.
on minimal sleep. That's not me. So this
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah, and they shouldn't function on minimal sleep because their brain is actually not getting everything it needs in that minimal sleep. We need 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep in order for our brain to function at its full. So, yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
So let's start with Kate. What is EFT for people who've never heard of it before?
So EFT it's an energy modality. So basically what we do is some people will describe it as like acupuncture for your emotions because we're using the end points of the meridian lines where you would put an acupuncture needle in. And
Hmm.
by gently tapping on it, we're actually sending an energetic signal to our amygdala, which is like the fight or flight part of our brain.
Hmm.
And we're telling it that we're okay. So we're sending this calming signal back into our body, and so, as we name the emotion and we sit with the truth of what is by naming it and using the tapping points, we're actually calming our nervous system. It's
Mm.
so beautiful, and it works wonderfully. And most people will start yawning as they've done a few rounds. The yawns will start because they're releasing all this stuck energy from their body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're a sleep coach
yeah.
and EFT practitioner. So how did that come about?
Well, so I had, so I'll tell you a little bit about my story,
Hmm.
how I myself was not sleeping for years and years. Um, what was happening to me that I didn't know at the time is that I was in a constant state of this fight or flight. I was so stressed between my job and things that were going on at home, that I lost the ability to regulate my nervous system. But I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that I couldn't shut off my brain. So I kept walking around saying, well, I would sleep if I could just shut my brain off. And this started probably about 2015. And then it got worse, got to a point where I was taking sleeping pills. And even with that, I couldn't sleep. And it got so bad that I had to stop working. So
Mm.
when that happened, I kind of sat back. But when you're not able to sit down and you have all this free time, I ended up painting my house from top to bottom,
Oh
like the
my
walls,
goodness.
the ceiling, like the windowsill, everything. And when I was doing that, I listened to this podcast from Nick Hortner talking about tapping. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. I knew I needed something to help me. I wanted to get off the sleeping pill. My doctor was like, let's not do anxiety medication yet. Let's see if you can't get this under control by yourself because it was stress related.
Hmm.
And so I started listening, and he said, name the emotion, be specific about why you have that emotion. So I would go sit in the woods. I would drive my kid to school, and then I would go in the Bonshaw trails here in PEI, and I would kind of sneak off the trail and sit by the water, and I would cry and I would tap about how guilty I felt, how ashamed I was that I wasn't able to control myself anymore, that I couldn't sleep, that I couldn't help all the people the job that I was in. It was a critical job at that time, and I wasn't able to help those people anymore. And I left my coworkers in a lurch. And so
Mm.
shame and guilt and then anger came up at my parents for being such hard workers, because then all of a sudden I was becoming them,
Mm.
but in a different world, right? Like it wasn't just working the farm anymore. It was in an office with all the stress and everything. So I started tapping. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I was following these videos online and I was kind of just, he kept saying, be specific and use the emotions you're feeling. And it took about 3 weeks. I tapped every day for about an hour, even
Oh,
though I didn't have
wow.
a clue. Oh yeah, I was determined I was going to fix my sleep. Well, I was having 7 to 8 panic attacks a day when I stopped working.
Oh, okay.
Because when you're in such high state of fight or flight and all of a sudden you have nothing to do, your system doesn't know what to do with itself. So it keeps having panic attacks. And within 3 weeks, no panic attacks. And I woke up on the couch one day from a nap, and it was my first time in 2 years that I fell asleep without a sleeping pill.
Oh my goodness.
So my body had lost the ability to fall asleep by itself. And within 3 weeks of tapping, I fell asleep on my own. And it was like better than winning $1 million. It was like, I still, even just telling you right now, like, I'm like, that was the most amazing moment of my life. Because if
Wow.
you've ever suffered with not being able to sleep, just the ability to fall asleep on your own was just amazing. And then I was hooked. Then I was like, how do I learn more about EFT? How do I get certified? And then got certified a few years ago, decided that I would help people sleep. You know, all the emotions about sleep when people can't sleep, the anxiety of going to bed, all those things. Put all that kind of together. And then just the last year, I took my advanced level EFT, which brought in conscious EFT, which is really helping the nervous system reset itself, creating new empowering beliefs. And
Mm,
just watching people fall asleep again is brings me joy. Like I
yes.
could do this every day, all day, because it's the most amazing thing I've ever done
That's
for career.
awesome. Wow. I
Yeah.
never heard your whole story like that before.
Yeah.
I was reading a bit of your story on the website. I don't know if all of that was there or if I missed a part,
No,
but
not all of it is there because like you only can write a
yeah,
little bit, right? So,
yeah.
but yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible to have that, that's a huge transformation in 3 weeks.
Huge, huge. Now I still had lots to work. That was just enough for my body to start falling asleep again on its own. And then I joined the gym, and then it took me 5 months before I was able to go back to work. And even
Which
then
is
it
still
was
pretty
the
quick.
still pretty quick, but I did a lot of tapping. I like constantly would tap on the anxiety about going to work. And then I hooked up with a practitioner because it's a different level doing tapping on your own than tapping with a practitioner. And then I started training in it,
Mm,
and it completely transformed my life.
mm,
Um, yeah.
imagine. So, like, when you're talking about, constantly in that fight or flight, so, it's stress, right, that puts us in the
Stress.
flight or flight. So, I was just having my own experiences over the last few weeks, like, before I went on vacation about a month ago, I was kinda having stress, and
Yeah.
I wasn't falling to sleep as well as I was, and I went on vacation for a week, and I got back to my normal sleep routine because my stress lowered, and I was
Yeah.
totally relaxed. And now that I'm back to work, I've been starting to get these visual migraines, and I know, like, quite
Yeah.
certain that it's stress as well. But, if someone were to ask me, do you have a lot of stress in your life? Like, there's no big stressful events, there's big stress. And I think that's what a lot of people might think if
Mm,
you say, "Oh, do you have stress in your life?" Like, no, no, I got no stress, you
yeah.
know? But I think that, if you're like what through meditation, things I've become quite connected to my body, and I've gotten to that, relaxation mode a lot through meditation. So I'm very sensitive and know when I'm in the fight or flight
Yeah.
that, okay, yeah, that actually is stress. But most people wouldn't label it that way.
No, most people wouldn't label it that way. They would, because it would be their normal.
Yeah.
Right? Is their normal because they haven't been calm in so long that the normal fight or flight is how they are all the time. Now, fight or flight has a really bad name, but we need fight or flight.
Yeah.
Our nervous system. So let's talk about the nervous system, because this has really been my learning edge this last year, like the nervous system, the polyvagal theory. What are the three states of the nervous system? How do we move from one to the other? So So if we look at the 3 states, so we have the social engagement, which is where you feel calm, you feel in the flow, you're able to manifest easily. I know you love manifestation. That happens in the social engagement state. But once we go into fight or flight, we feel the panic, the anger, the frustration, the irritation. Those are kind of the emotions that go with it. What could bring on fight or flight? Driving down the road, a car swerves in front of you, you go, got to move out of the way, right? And that's good. We want that fight or flight. When you get up in the morning, you go for a run. You need that fight or flight in order for your body to run. It's a good state to be in, but you should be able to go in fight or flight and then go back to social engagement. And then if you stay in fight or flight too long, you can actually go into the freeze. The freeze is when you feel numb, you feel hopeless, you're not able to cope anymore. So then your body goes into freeze. And when your body's in freeze, before it can come out of freeze, you go back into fight or flight before you go in social engagement. So it's really like social engagement up to fight or flight, up to freeze, back down through fight or flight, and then down to social engagement again. And in reality, we should be able to go between all 3 all day long, depending on what we're doing. If we're sleeping, we need freeze because we want to be immobilized and not moving. All right. So freeze is a good state in that case. If someone in your family has an accident or someone passes away close to you and you feel sad, of course, you're going to go in freeze for that little bit because you're going to process the emotion of the grief. And when I was feeling shame and guilt, that could have been part of the freeze, some of the fight or flight, right? So it's normal for us to have emotion and go between all 3 states. What's not normal is in the life that we have today, we're constantly on Facebook, constantly with email, constantly trying to not do better, but we see everybody like, it's not that we want to up other people, but we see like, oh, there's the big house, there's the big car, there's the vacation. And I feel then less than because I haven't. So all our beliefs comes in and puts us in either fight or flight or freeze. And then we get stuck there.
Yeah.
And if you're in fight or flight, you're not sleeping because you can't shut your brain down. And so that's where the tapping comes in, right? So with the tapping, and especially conscious EFT, it's about being with the truth of what is. And so we would, do a round of tapping on, even though I feel anxiety about going to bed because I don't know if I'm going to sleep tonight. Like something like that could be just a tapping round where we acknowledge that there's anxiety about sleeping. We acknowledge that there's anxiety about not looking at my phone for an hour before bed because we need to shut our brain down. But if we're on our phone, we're actually activating our fight or flight the whole time. And then we expect for it to shut down and go to sleep. Well, we need to give it downtime to go to sleep. So that's where the fight or flight is. I was stuck in fight or flight, like literally no off switch anymore for my brain, completely stuck in fight or flight. And my whole body vibrated with that energy because it was like stuck in there. It had no release, nor was I letting it release because I didn't know. I didn't know better. That's the state that I was at. So that's what I teach people really is how to reset their nervous system so that they can fall asleep again.
So
And
when you
then,
talk about freeze, would that be like like a burnout and things like that?
yeah,
Is that a freeze or is that still fight or flight?
that would be a freeze in my opinion, because once you're in a burnout, you're so exhausted and lethargic. Like a fight or flight, you're still kind of activated,
Okay.
right? But your
Like
freeze
your
is
adrenaline's pumped up and you're kind of like,
all the time, right? Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but the freeze is more like when people get, and I'm not a mental health professional. I'll say that to everybody. I'm literally a sleep coach and an EFT practitioner. And I talk a lot of emotions and everything, but it's because I study this stuff inside out because it's so amazing to me. But then we use the energy of the body to reset the nervous system. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. So when you're talking about like we should be able to go like through that kind of healer, up and down through relaxation, fight or flight, and freeze, you should be able to go up and like through those several times a day. And if we weren't constantly bombarded by small stressful events, then we probably could get back to relaxation. But since it's not happening naturally, we have to consciously put things in our routine, right? To help bring us back to relaxation.
behaviors. We have to change our behaviors. My favorite quote is, if you keep doing what you've always done, you're
Yeah.
going to keep getting what you've always gotten. So if you want to get your sleep back on track and you're not sleeping because you're in fight or flight, then what can you do to help your nervous system calm down? So tapping is my number one thing I teach everybody. And then, but there's exercise, there's nutrition. You know, the 3 pillars of health are sleep, exercise, nutrition. Well, in order to get your sleep back, you also have to exercise, you also have to eat good. And then we look into the belief systems, you know, because if you haven't slept for a long time, you can start believing that you're beyond help, that you'll never sleep again. And, you know, those are blocking beliefs. And in the program that I've created, you know, I have a whole module on blocking belief, because if you feel that it's not possible for you to sleep, then no matter what you change, if you don't change that mindset, you're not going to sleep.
Yeah.
And if you feel that you're so broken that it's just not possible for you, everybody else could fix it, but not you, because you're just that broken. And if you haven't slept for a while, believe me, you feel that you're just that broken. Yeah, I know from experience. Yeah.
So it's funny because everything comes back to beliefs. I think like in so many of my podcast episodes is what I end up talking about, you know, because creating the life that you want and manifestation and any change, it really starts with your mindset and your beliefs, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And what you think. Like, did you know that you'll have a thought that will produce an emotion, and that emotion runs through your body, and it should come in and out in 90 seconds. But, right, instead, we have a thought that creates an emotion, and then we rethink the thought and it gives the emotion again. And then we rethink the thought and we have the emotion again, and it creates that cycle. So if the thought, you know, the belief, instead of like, there's no way I'll ever fix my sleep, could be, tonight I'm going to have an awesome sleep. Imagine the different emotion going through your body. And an emotion is energy in motion. And so the lower vibrational emotions of like guilt and anxiety and shame, when you have that thought, you have that emotion, you go down. But when you can put in the thought and the belief that, like, yeah, up until now, I might not have been a good sleeper, but I'm changing. And now I'm doing what I need to fall asleep easily. And it actually changes your whole mindset and then your belief. And then the next thing you know, you wake up in the morning and you're like I had one night not long ago, I went to bed at 9 o'clock at night. I woke up at 7:30 in the morning and I did not move. And I was busy and I have stress, but I know what my body deserves sleep, and I make sure that I do what I need to in order to get that sleep, right? So it's training your mind and body for that sleep.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing too, because you know, some people don't sleep well, but if your body's not physically tired, it's going to be even more difficult to fall asleep, I think, right? And I mean,
Right.
I'm totally open and honest. I'm not in an exercise routine. I know I should be, but it's just not there. But I still sleep well. But for some people who even have more trouble sleeping,
Yes.
but when your body's tired, you sleep,
Yeah.
you know, most of the times you do.
Yeah. And it's what I would call filling your sleep drive bucket. So
Can you say that again?
it's filling up your sleep drive bucket.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm going to
I
explain
like
what
that.
that is to you. So imagine this, right? You have a bucket, and during the day, it fills with a molecule called adenosine. And we have this bucket in our brain. It's not really a bucket. I call it a bucket. And so it fills with adenosine. And so once that bucket is full with adenosine, it signals to our brain and body, oh, it's time for sleep. How do you fill that sleep drive bucket?
Oh.
Exercise, keeping yourself with good food, not napping. And so there's 2 schools of thoughts on naps, but if you nap, what you're doing is you're emptying some of your sleep drive bucket.
Okay.
So that when it's time to go to bed, it's not full enough. So if you go to bed too early, so that's why it's important to know what your bedtime is and be consistent. So your body can fill the sleep drive bucket consistently every day. And I go to bed at 9. It's my bedtime. It's just what I do. My husband's a 9 o'clock bedtime too. So it works for us, luckily. So at 9, like 8:30, my sleep drive bucket is full. However, things that can affect the sleep drive bucket is caffeine, because the caffeine molecule and the adenosine molecule are the same. So if you're drinking too much coffee, that is going in your sleep drive bucket as opposed to the adenosine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so then if I have a coffee at 1, 2 in the afternoon, I've just put too much caffeine in my sleep drive bucket and there's no way I'm falling asleep. I'm
Mm,
sensitive to caffeine. Some people aren't, but I am.
I am too.
I know if I'm not sleeping, the first thing I do, and I go through like my day, like when was my last cup of coffee? Did I exercise? If I don't move enough, I know my sleep drive bucket is not filled enough. So, and I'm a sleep coach. So I really focus on making sure my sleep drive bucket is full because I know then I'm going to sleep well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's pretty
Awesome.
cool.
It is. I was just looking down at my notes because when I was reading your website earlier, you were talking about EFT seeks to address imbalances within a person's energy system, as well as
Yes.
the energetic influence of thoughts, beliefs, and emotions on the body. And
Yeah.
I just want to bring it back, to like manifestation and how we can help people, achieve, whether it's sleep or anything else in their lives, how EFT can be beneficial. Again, it comes back to that whole thoughts, beliefs, emotions thing, right?
Right.
So the
And the thought, if the thought is negative, whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to manifest money, whether you're trying to get a new job, I just chose to use my EFT for sleep.
Mhm.
Yet that's not my only clients, right? I have clients that want to work on other stuff, but sleep is kind of my niche. And if I bring you to the program I created, even though I created Reclaim Your Sleep, Reclaim Your Life, if you went through the steps of that program and you had weight loss issue, it would be the same process. If you wanted relationship issues, it would be the same process because we start with looking at what are your goals? What is it that you want? What are the emotions getting in the way? And then what are the beliefs that we have to change? It's
Yeah.
always the same. We have to change those thoughts. We have to change those beliefs and we have to change the behavior.
Mhm.
Behavior is also big. And so when we look at the energy within the body, that for me is the emotions. And, I work with the chakra system and the meridian lines, right? Both of those energetic systems in our body, when they're balanced, you just feel good.
Yeah.
And they're balanced when you feel good.
Mhm.
So,
So you're coming back. So it's all about the emotions and tapping on the points,
yeah,
because thoughts and beliefs bring those certain emotions.
yeah,
So, and those emotions are what's making you act in a certain way to then create what you have in your life.
right. And so do this, wake up in the morning and put your 2 feet on the floor and say, oh, today's going to be an amazing day. Right. So you've just put in a thought that's going to create the emotion of happiness that then is going to make you easily go for that walk. That's going to make you go to work and be happy. Right. Now do
Mhm.
the opposite. The alarm goes off. You slam the alarm and go, oh, I can't believe I have to get up and go to work. Right. Energetically, emotionally, what are you bringing to the world? And so you
Exactly.
have to change the thought and the behavior. And getting people to just say in the morning, like, this is going to be an amazing day, just that can change their entire life.
Mhm.
Just that getting out of bed with the attitude of, like, oh, this is going to be awesome today.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's something I like to focus on as well is kind of really, really, really connecting with your body and how you're feeling. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we don't do it all day, like I'm not gonna say impossible, but it's not easy to do all day, right?
Yeah.
Um, but when you do that, like you said, because if you get out of bed in the morning, you put your feet on the floor, it's gonna be a great day.
Yeah.
But just stop and really
Yeah.
take notice of how you're feeling when you say that.
Yeah.
Because at first it might be difficult to sense the difference in energy, right? At
Yep.
first,
At first it
but
is.
yeah, but then with more and more practice and more repetition, then you'll start to notice the differences.
You'll start, yeah. And what I do with my clients when I start with a new client, not always, but a lot of times I assess, like the first consultation that I have with them, I am assessing their nervous system, right? I'm seeing where their stress level is and how much tapping they'll be able to do because some people aren't ready for that. So we do a lot of just tapping without words too. I have a video that I share. I'm not sure if it's on my Vimeo account, if it's available. It's on my Facebook group anyway. We just do tapping without words and doing external orientation tapping. So we're pretty much just bringing in the 5 sense, coming back to the present moment, tapping on the points, sending that signal to the amygdala that like, you're safe right here. Like, it's okay. The house is not burning down. You don't have to run away. And I get people to do that 3-4 times a day. It takes about 5 minutes. And so they're taking the time to stop. They're telling themselves they're safe, because, our body reacts in ways because it believes it's not safe, even though it's not true. But the truth to our body at the time is we're not safe. That's why we're not sleeping. That's why we go in fight or flight, right? And just by doing the tapping, even without really trying to get to the core of what's going on, but just doing the tapping as self-regulation really allows you. And I do it a lot. And I know you love meditation. I tap the entire time I meditate.
Okay.
Right? Just the points. I just go through my meditation and I'm tapping, because not only am I getting the benefit of the meditation, I'm also actually sending the signal through my fascia to my amygdala that it's okay to be quiet right now.
Okay.
So a lot of people, if you're like me, that has a busy mind, have a hard time sitting in meditation because I can't quiet my mind. But if I'm tapping, then
Focusing
it's easier.
on something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's easier. And then I get so much more out of my meditation.
Yeah.
That's
great.
Yeah.
So like we've kind of talked about what EFT is, and we talked about its tapping, but so when someone goes to you, usually they come with a specific concern or question or problem, right? And that's how you would start off a session.
Yeah.
Talking
And
about
so,
that.
yeah. And so lately, what I've been doing lately is I actually really developed my program so that people come in for sleep, which is not all my clients, but like the biggest part, right? Because my first question is what is it that you want to achieve? What is your goal of our work together? And what is the beliefs that we need to change? So a session will start with like, what is our target for this session? Like, and it's not about me helping you make a decision, because the decision will come. But as we're tapping, you will notice that the subconscious mind will bring up thoughts and ideas that you didn't even know that you had. And so it's the way I'll ask the question. So you're coming in, say, with, I don't know, give me an example of what you would want to work on, right?
You want to, this is my whole big thing right now. You want to find a relationship, a loving, happy relationship.
Right. And so the fact that you're not in a relationship right now, and you say something like this, like, I don't have a relationship, or I could never find the love of my life, or whatever that sentence or that belief that you have, I would ask you to tune into your body. And is there an energetic charge behind it? And so what we're doing, we're trying to change that energetic charge so that when you say that, so that the belief is no longer, I can't find the perfect partner, but instead it would be like, the perfect partner is just waiting for me. I just have to open my heart. And so I guide you through the process of what are the emotions, what's the belief, what are the thoughts. And as we go through that, we always go back to like the beginning of the session, right? Like energetically, how is there still intensity around that subject that we were tapping on? And it's so amazing to see people like drop. Like one person lately, she had resistance to stilling her mind. So it was like not able to quiet my mind, and that resistance. And we were tapping on it. And as we tapping, and I'm asking questions like, why is that? And it was like, oh, I'm afraid of what my mind will actually tell me. Right. And then it's like, okay, so what is that? And then we just keep tapping and talking. And and I'm just guiding and directing the conversation really between the person and their subconscious mind to kind of get out what that belief is. Because if we don't find the belief to change it to an empowering belief, then we can stay in the same groove all the time. So for sleep, a lot of times, like people, it's not possible for me to find sleep is something we tap on a lot. Or a funny one that I've tapped on with so many people is like, Carol's not going to tell me what time to turn the lights off. Which I never do. They decide their bedtime, but it's like, but then when it comes time for them to like set their bedtime, they decided at 10 o'clock it's lights out. They get this like, you're not going to tell me when to turn the lights off. And that comes from childhood. It's not because it's me, right? So I'm like, okay, let's tap on. Carol's not going to tell me when to turn the light off, because I know that it has nothing to do with me, but it has to do with them rebelling of turning the lights off. So then we go look at why that is. And once we find the reason that they're not wanting to turn the lights off, whether it's because their parents made them go to bed at a certain time and they were missing out, and
Yeah.
so many reasons, right? So
I think I can totally relate to that one. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I know.
Because even like when I moved here in with her, like I don't know, I was probably here for like 2 years or something like that. And I rarely fall asleep on the couch. But sometimes I do, and like it just feels good, just leave me
Yeah.
alone. I just want to lay and fall asleep on the couch. But anyway, this one night I fell asleep on the couch and Hurt thought he was being caring and
Mhm.
hey, go to bed. And he said that I woke up, I like one eye open and half asleep, like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, we don't like to be told what to do because we were told what to do as children all the
I
time.
know, I
And
know.
so, yeah, so I bring choice a lot into my work, right? What are you choosing instead? Yeah, what would you like to choose instead? Instead of like it being like, don't tell me when to turn the light off. One client said, and I'm saying that to myself because I'm the one who said when I wanted to turn the lights off. So I'm like mad at myself. But what would you like to bring in instead? And most people will say, well, compassion for that little girl that was made to go to bed
Mm,
early. So let's talk to that little girl, right? Let's have a visualization while we're tapping, talking to that little girl and letting her know that we get it. We get that she didn't like it. But now as a grown-up, because you want the life you want, that it's okay to turn the lights off at 10.
yeah.
So sessions are always interesting because you never know what the subconscious mind will bring up.
Mhm.
And we're really guided by the subconscious mind. And I'm just kind of there holding that safe vessel, right? To let the subconscious mind bring up what it needs to bring up. And for some reason, when we're tapping on the points, it allows that subconscious mind to just open up and let us know what needs to change in the client's life in order to get what they want. Manifest sleep, manifest relationship, manifest money, manifest
Yeah,
more fun, just
yeah.
manifest feeling good, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've actually worked with Carol. We did talk about it
Yeah.
really, and yeah. But so I've tried many, many different, alternative healing and energy, especially with my whole health issue there with my blood and platelets. I was like, that's what I called Carol. I was in like desperation. I was like, I need to heal myself.
And I always say
And-
it's not about healing, it's
no.
about feeling good where you are at the moment. Yeah, there's never any guarantee.
So I'm kind of healed through surgically, but
Yeah.
anyway, but it was very, very helpful tapping. It's something I learned about several years ago, but I didn't do a whole lot. So I worked with Carol for several sessions, and I think I've tried, like I said, I've tried many different things, and everything is just kind of, I feel like, shifts me a little bit
Yeah.
further along,
Yeah.
like, and it's amazing. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel
Because
like I
it's a
should really.
journey.
It is. It totally is.
Yeah.
And so I really just wanted to present EFT and tapping to the
Mm,
listeners today as, something to try to help them
yeah.
shift along in their journey and whatever they want to achieve or change in their lives.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
I thank you for coming on, but we're not done yet. There's a few
Okay.
questions that I like to ask people. So, there's one I think I probably already know the answer, but is there anything other than tapping, of course,
Mm.
is there anything that you do or you just kind of you notice yourself being doing naturally that helps you to connect to yourself and listen to your inner wisdom?
All right. Well, because of you and you with your 10 best books or 5 best books and Gabby Bernstein,
Uh-huh.
I have now taken to meditate every day on allowing the universe to talk to me and do automatic writing, which
Love
has
that.
been Gabby Bernstein. Has really it's my new thing. Like because like you said, we do a little bit and we evolve a little, and then it's a journey, right?
Mhm.
So what I do to feel good is when I don't feel good, I sit and I just kind of talk to the universe or God or source, or I don't know who it is out there. I don't know what this energy is, but I just connect and I just sit there in silence. So I do that like every day. I don't miss a
Awesome.
day.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What 3 things do you love to do?
Oh God. What 3 things do I love to do? Well, my garden until the worms ate most of it. I
A
was
vegetable
really
garden or a
a
flower garden?
vegetable garden. Um, I really love just talking with my son too. Like we had a really good chat before me and you connected. So I just like to have good conversation that are soul filling, right?
Me
I
too.
love, love, love that. Um, And I love spending time with my husband.
Mm.
Summer's here and we spend time at our camper a lot, and we just will sometimes sit and not even talk, but we can just sit there and I'm on reading a book and he's doing whatever. And so those are three things. I love working in my garden, having good soul conversations, and just being with my husband.
Love
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. So, if there's one last message you could share with the world, what would it be?
All right. So this is my message to the world. Everybody deserves good sleep. That's my message. And
Awesome.
for most of us, it's possible. We just have to make choices. And by
Mm,
making different choices, then our sleep will come back. And from there, like life just gets amazing. Like when you're sleeping, like full sleep, and I have so much to say about sleep and what happens to the brain while we sleep, but our brain regenerates itself and then you wake up alive. And it just, sleep is for me number one. I know there's sleep, nutrition, and exercise. I know there's all three, but you can have nutrition and exercise, but if you're not sleeping, it doesn't work. So
no.
you need all three. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my message to the world. Like everyone deserves good sleep, and it's possible.
Yeah. Oh, it's my gosh. I it's very rare in my life that I didn't sleep good. Knock
Yeah.
on wood, because thankfully I hope it never happens. But like the very few instances where I didn't sleep well, oh,
Yeah.
like I don't function. I don't function
Yeah.
properly.
Well, I went almost 2 years with like about 3 hours a night. So I know, like it just is, and you really believe that you're stuck there. Um, but you don't have to be. You have to
Mm,
make changes. You have to look at your life. You have to do tapping. You have to reset your nervous system. You have to start exercising, but it's possible. And I know because I live it and my clients live it. So I know it's possible.
yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's cool.
Great. Thanks so much,
Cool.
Carol.
You're welcome.
And I will share where you can be found on the website, charlagoodwin.com. Unless you just want
Yes.
to share as well your
Yeah.
website.
So my website is, I imagine that, www.tappingintosleep.com.
Yes.
Love it.
Love it.
And I also have a Facebook group. You can find Sleep Again Naturally using EFT with Carol Richards. So if they just Google me, they'll get to the website
Yeah, perfect. And I'll
or
have
to
the
the
link as
Facebook
well.
group. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll put the link up as well so people can find it easily. Thanks again
cool.
so much.
You're welcome.
Now remember, you are beautiful and brave, smart and intelligent. You're caring, you're giving, and great at receiving. You're abundant, you are fun, you are at peace. You are you, and you are enough. Now go and create that amazing life that you love.